expansion pack came out, and it's exciting. I mean, I still don't play the game. Again, I haven't played it since before the expansion packs. I just don't have the time to devote to it. But I love the lore. That's why I do this shit. And he's up there, and he's been up there, and now you get to see what happens, and that's why this is so cool. So it's kind of questions are being answered now. Now, in this book, there's kind of a little epilogue at the end, and this is like only been revealed in this book, what I'm about to share, and I don't think it's been revealed anywhere else because it's been assumed this whole time, and you still assume it. This epilogue, this is like major spoilers happening at the end of this book. The spoilers have been happening this whole time. If you don't know the story of Arthas, read this book if you want. Don't watch this thing. But this thing's definitely going to spoil something huge at the end, and it hasn't been revealed. But I'm about to explain it right now. And it's assumed that he's just up there. His mind fused with Ner'zhul's mind, and they became the Lich King together. Arthas' corrupted spirit and Ner'zhul's corrupted spirit are the Lich King, and they share one kind of schizophrenic, multiple personality mind. And they both are the Lich King in Arthas' body. Turns out it's not true. In this book, there's like this epilogue at the end where it's all this stuff going on in Arthas' head. Arthas is sitting at a table with a young boy and Ner'zhul, the orc, and he's got the skull painted on his face and everything. It's obviously Ner'zhul, and there's this young boy, and it's obvious after reading a little bit that that's Arthas as a kid. And then there's Arthas, present day Arthas, and he's sitting there and he talks, and the boy is sick, dying. His lips are like crusted over, his eyes are sunken in, and he has no color to his face, and Ner'zhul is stronger than ever. And it's basically representing Arthas struggling before, like, who he was, the good anything, is represented by this boy. And who he is becoming, the darkness, the Lich King, is represented by Ner'zhul, of course. So this is happening, the boy's dying, Ner'zhul is like, this boy needs to be gone. Before we can become as powerful as we are, this boy needs to be gone. He needs to die. Arthas is like, no, he's gone, he's leaving right now. But he's not, because he's still there, obviously. Arthas looks at the boy, and he says, "You're everything that I was. You're the love I had for Jaina. You're the heroic. You're the light that I had when I was a paladin." And the boy looks up, and he was pretty much gonna die. Arthas says this, and he sees hope, and a tear drops his eye, and he's like, "Yes, that's who I am. That is who I am. I'm who you were." He's like, "You see, Arthas? There's still hope. There's still hope." And he gets up and he runs over to Arthas, and Arthas and Ner'zhul's like not happy. Ner'zhul's like, "Uh-oh, maybe Arthas is turning good." And me reading this, I'm thinking maybe Arthas is turning good. And the boy's like, "There's still hope, Arthas. Yeah, see, I am that in you. And it wouldn't be in you. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't in you. And you wouldn't know that if you didn't say what you just said. And I am the good, and I am what represents you. I represent the good in you. So focus on that, and we can still be good." And in my head, I'm thinking, because you guys haven't killed him yet, like I don't play the game, but you guys who do, you haven't fought Arthas yet. And maybe there's going to be this huge plot turn where this boy inside Arthas like turned him, and Arthas became good, and he joins the Alliance, and I was like, holy shit, wouldn't that be fucking crazy? Like, it would be almost awesome, more awesome than the badass that he is now, is if he turned good again, and shunned evil, and became Arthas the Paladin. And then, like, I don't know, resurrected Uther somehow with his ultimate light power, because he's the ultimate light. And, like, I mean, he's done a lot of dark things, but maybe they're going to do something wacky and bring him back. And Arthas gets up and he walks over to the kid, and this shit hasn't been revealed anywhere else. Like, you just assume that he's still the half Ner'zhul, half Arthas Lich King. He walks over to the kid, and he's like, and the boy's like, "See, Arthas, there's still hope." And Arthas looks down at the kid and, like, brushes a tear aside. And he's like, "No, there is no hope." Ugh! And stabs the kid. And I'm reading this and I'm like, fuck. Fucking A, man. That's brutal as fuck. The kid's no more. There is no good left in Arthas. All there is Ner'zhul and Arthas, the fused together Lich King. Or is it? This shit blew my mind. Because then Ner'zhul This is all happening in Arthas' head still. Walks over to Arthas and is like, good, Arthas. Now we can rule. We're the most powerful entity on Azeroth. There is no more Burning Legion. We are the shit. We're gods. And Arthas looks at Ner'zhul and he's like, no. We aren't anything. I am a god. Stabs Ner'zhul. Ner'zhul's like, what? There's no Ner'zhul, there's no kid, there's only Arthas. Arthas is not a puppet to the Lich King. Arthas is not a puppet to Ner'zhul. Arthas does not listen to the sword that talks to him anymore. Arthas is the Lich King. Arthas is the puppet master. Arthas controls everything else. Arthas and Arthas alone. Not Ner'zhul. Nobody. Not the Burning Crusade telling him what to do. Not Kel'Thuzad telling him what to do. Not Ner'zhul telling him what to do. It's Arthas. Arthas has completely turned. He has no love for Jaina anymore. He feels no remorse for what he did to Uther or his father or his people or what he did to Stratholme. He has his horse invisible, his undead steed, the only thing he ever cared about, since he turned. It's the only thing he cares about, and he has that, and his horse will do anything for him. It's his undead steed. He killed the only thing that was as powerful, if not more powerful than him, Ner'zhul, because they both shared the Frozen Throne. He killed Ner'zhul. Now it's just Arthas. Arthas is the Lich King, and I still read stuff on the internet in preparing for this, even though I read the book, and nothing mentions that. Nothing mentions Arthas being the entity. It all says, well, now officially Arthas and Ner'zhul are the Lich King. No, turns out not. You read this book. This book just came out a couple weeks ago, and it says that Arthas is the Lich King, not Ner'zhul. No one else. It's not Ner'zhul in his head anymore. It's not Ner'zhul's spirit still. It's only Arthas, which I thought was badass as fuck. So now that avoids all confusion of well, who's the Lich King? Because the Lich King existed before Arthas. Nah. Oh yeah, he did, but Arthas is the Lich King, and that's all you need to know. Alright, so here's going to be a wrap-up. That's pretty much it. That's where Arthas... Well, yeah. So that's pretty much it. That's happens with Arthas. That's where the book ends, and that's kind of where I'm going to end the 101. But now we're going to talk about Warcraft present day, which might be a little rough for me, because again, I don't play, and I haven't played since Wrath of the Lich King came out. But I'm going to say how all this stuff affects Warcraft today, and how it affected before the expansion packs, and a little bit of how it affects it now, after the expansion packs, even though I don't know too much post-Wrath of the Lich King.
Alright, one of the things I wanted to mention when I was filming during this wrap-up, but I forgot to, was to talk about Stratholme in current World of Warcraft. Back when I played the game, it was when the level cap was 60, before any of the expansion packs came out. One of the dungeons you can do, and you can still do it to this day probably, that you did once you were up there in level, was Stratholme. And it's just dungeon, it's like a fiery city. You walk through it, there's undead everywhere. The Scarlet Crusade kind of took it over now. But it took me a while to make the connection, because I hadn't played World of Warcraft for a long time before I played... I haven't played Warcraft 3 for a long time before I played World of Warcraft. But it finally hit me one day when I was in the dungeon, and I was like, oh shit, this is Stratholme. This is where Arthas turned. This is where Arthas did those horrible things and murdered all the citizens because the plague was taking over. And he just started killing innocents before they turned undead. Like, that whole thing where Arthas kind of turned dark, when Jaina turned on him, when Uther turned on him. It was here in this city. And to see it relate to something you can physically be in World of Warcraft was awesome. And the city was burning. Why is it burning? Because of the disaster that happened way earlier in Warcraft 3. So it's just cool to see how it turned out. It's still burning to this day. It's still a horrible mess because of the undead plague that happened, first of all, and then the destruction that happened when Arthas went through it and did what he did. So Stratholme, when you guys play through it, just that's why it's like that, and it's just crazy to me. And it was cool to be there because it was such like a huge point in Warcraft 3 and such a huge plot point in Arthas' history that to see it happen in World of Warcraft and to walk through it and to see the aftermath is kind of nuts. So Stratholme, pretty cool dungeon in relating to this whole lore of Arthas thing. Just wanted to mention that because I forgot to say it when I was doing my wrap-up earlier. So right now we're going to do the rest of the wrap-up with all the stuff that I actually recorded.